Moana 2 has finally arrived on Disney Plus, so I decided to watch it. And I also rewatched Moana just before watching this. And I can say that Moana 2 is okay, but I didn't necessarily enjoy it that much. There's nothing wrong with it, but I didn't really love it. This was released originally in 2024. It's directed by David Derrick Jr., Jason Hand, and Dana LaDosse Miller. It's written by Jared Bush and Dana LaDosse Miller. I apologise if I've mispronounced any of those names. And we have a voice cast including Auli'i Cravalho as Moana and Dwayne Johnson as Maui. And the narrative for this one is okay, but I didn't really find it to be that exciting. Moana has taken it upon herself to try and find this island and raise this island, and this will restore things and help to save people and restore goodness. And as a concept, I honestly found it to be a little bit flat. I didn't hate it necessarily. There's nothing wrong with it as such. I just don't feel like the story for me is that interesting. I guess it held my attention, but in general, certainly compared with the first film, I just didn't think it was that interesting. The narrative was it's one of those narratives where I thought, well, there's nothing wrong with this. It's flowing well enough. There are enough small twists and turns to keep it engaging, but I don't care. I never really found that I was emotionally invested in this one. Whereas with the first film, even though I'm not the world's biggest Moana fan, I did feel like the first one was a much more emotional journey. So it's not bad, but it just feels a little bit flat in places. The voice acting's really good. I was really glad that we had the return of Maui, and I think with Moana, they just work really well together as characters. Animation is absolutely stunning. The animation is so beautiful. So it's definitely beautiful to look at, even if the narrative isn't that fascinating at all times. Did I like it? I guess as a one-time watch, it was okay. It's certainly not the best film ever, but as a sequel, I suppose it's fine. Sequels are rarely anything too magnificent anyway. So all things considered, Moana 2 is not a terrible film. I'm quite surprised it doesn't have a subtitle. Moana 2, The Quest for This, or Moana 2, The Search for whatever. I don't know why I'm surprised by that. I just feel like throwing in some extra words there could make it seem more gripping and adventurous. But either way, Moana 2 is fine. I didn't hate it. It's not as good as the first film, but then I'm not the biggest Moana fan either. So if I was a die-hard Moana fan, I might like this a little bit more. Or maybe I'd dislike it more. Who knows? Either way, didn't mind the experience. The narrative is okay. The soundtrack's not as good as it is in the first film. But again, it's a sequel. And this is generally how sequels go, particularly with Disney. I think the only Disney sequel that's as good as the first film is Simba's Pride. Maybe slightly not as good as The Lion King, but I hold that film very dearly in my heart. Moana 2, not quite as good as a sequel, but it's fine. The story works, even though I didn't find it to be the most emotionally engaging. The characters are good, the voice acting is good, the animation is beautiful, the music is fine. It's not a bad film. I don't know if I'd ever watch it again, but certainly as a one-time watch, I guess Moana 2 was okay.